Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. I thought I would do a quick video on AVAX, what's been going on. It's been a little while since we looked at the chart on the YouTube channel, so I thought, why not? Let's take a look. It's obviously taken a bit of a hit recently. Let's see what's going on, what we might expect to happen next here with Avalanche's AVAX. As we get into it, if you find it useful, you know what to do. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and you'll be kept up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done. Let's get on in with it and see what's going on here with AVAX, right? Because you know, it had obviously been going a pretty good run. Let's actually just shoot on up into our weekly chart here. You know, we had a really good run. You know, we're heading up towards that 2.618 on the trend-based fib, and now obviously we're starting to see a bit of a deviation, right? And you know, it usually has people concerned when we see these things. Okay, so let's actually first of all review what's kind of going on here. So from February high, February 2021, down to these low ranges that we had in you know, pretty much you know, June and July, a double bottom, as you can see there, right? You know, when we take a look at this, we can think, okay, it was a significant pullback, right? It was an 84% pullback for Avalanche at the time, right? And by all accounts, you know, people would call that a bear market, and you know, people were calling it a bear market, and you know, it's hard to argue with it when you see that kind of pullback. You know, it's very bearish, right? Huge amounts of value wiped out, but obviously after that, we went on an absolute run. Okay, now a bear market in the crypto space may be adapting, it may be changing from what we've known it to be in the past, which is a winter, effectively, you know, in over a year, 1 year, 18 months, you know, a very, very long period of nothing but downtrend and just despair. Pretty much the time period where projects completely go out of business, they just disappear, right? Absolute menace of a time, right? But actually, you know, maybe things are changing. Maybe we're entering a world where, you know, bear markets happen within 3 months, and then we go on to another 3-month high, and then another 3-month bear market. You know, I think things are changing. We definitely see a lot more manipulation from institutions, and that kind of that's a part and part of a growing environment, right? As this industry grows, we're going to expect to see more and more players that like to play those kind of games, right? It's pretty rife across, you know, the gold and the silver markets, the stock markets, you know, and a lot of these institutions, they will quite happily just pay fines because they're making more money by, you know, unfortunately being a bad actor to a degree. Okay, now with all that being said, you know, they're not actually breaking any laws because it's an unregulated market. So as long as this remains an unregulated market, these players, these whales, these institutions will basically use pretty much, you know, dirty tactics to shake you out of the market and effectively you know, just take your assets off you, right? Now, in the sense of AVAX now, obviously after seeing a huge pullback previously and still going up into an all-time high, we have of course seen a significant pullback here with AVAX. But you know, at the same time, it's not too bad. It's 63%. We have seen 80 in the past. I do expect some more volatility, but I am also seeing that AVAX is a growing ecosystem that's got so much potential that is more than likely actually going to go up into new all-time highs in the future. Okay, and this is backed up by, you know, what else is going on with some other indicators in the data. Also, what I was talking about with you know, Bitcoin video earlier today. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. I talk about, you know, what's actually going on with Glassnode data, why you're seeing things slightly differently. You're not seeing what you'd expect to see in terms of, you know, exchanges and the amount of Bitcoin that they have on there during times of volatility, and not in the way that you would normally expect to see it. And I think the same thing's going to occur here with AVAX as well, right? We're going to eventually bottom out, and we're going to get the reversal, and it depends on the amount of damage done to retail investors as to whether or not we actually slip into a bear market longer term, or whether or not we actually get a complete reversal. And I think as this I guess industry changes and adapts, so do we as retail investors have to change and adapt with it, right? So let's actually get back into the world of AVAX here for a moment, because we can of course see that we were pushing up nicely. Now originally I had this as a bit of an impulsive move. I was like thinking that maybe we were going to start to see, you know, an impulsive move or something like that, but that has completely been invalidated. Instead, what we have here is a definitive, you know, big move up here. Now you've got a couple of ways you can count this. I think that this here is your pullback, and then this here is your high. There's a little bit of a change in tune just there, but I think, you know, it's an ABC, some kind of B wave is in here somewhere, but ultimately you end up with this. Then we're actually tracking pretty comfortably with an A wave. This wasn't too bad, and the B wave was pretty standard and something you would expect to happen. And right now you're in the C wave, right? That doesn't actually look too bad here on the weekly chart, right? So what's really important about this is we have to go and measure it, right? We have to know, what kind of damage has been done, and is it, in line with our expectations? And well, so far we've stopped it from going impulsive, but we have gone a little bit over the expected area, right? So $65 would have been the like-for-like ratio, right? The area that we would have expected a C wave to be based on the length of an A wave. But of course, if we do go past that 1.382, this is $50.22, effectively what we've done here is actually go impulsive. Now, going past this area and going impulsive in itself is a worry, but it isn't the end of the world either, because although you go impulsive like this and we convert it into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, it can be invalidated with that fourth wave going and bouncing higher than the low of our A wave. Okay, so we aren't there yet, and if we do get to that point, we can obviously analyze to see what happens next and whether it actually is truly impulsive or whether or not it was just a really long extended C wave. Okay, but right now we haven't got that to worry about. On our large time frame here, we can see that we haven't gone impulsive, and we're actually, getting a bit of decent kind of gap between that threshold, right? And we're in pretty much in line with that C wave. It looks like we're finding the bottom of this particular move, as long as it doesn't go impulsive. The stochastic RSI oversold on the weekly. This is a good corrective action after the all-time high. Okay, so after we've had that high point, we've actually pulled the stochastic down into the oversold area. This is actually good. It means that we have some long-term proposition going further forward, and again we can look to rise that stochastic RSI in due course, as long as that momentum comes with it. As long as we have good momentum as we start to increase the stochastic RSI, we should be doing okay. Now, as I come down into our hourly chart, we can obviously see all these kind of micro movements that were going on here. We obviously see the reversal, the push up here. And again, if we actually go ahead and take this and we put it back onto here, you can see that we moved right up into that 786 retracement zone. And then, of course, we're coming back down. So that was pretty standard. There was nothing strange or odd about the movements of AVAX at this point, right? We had the completion of a wave C. We pulled down, and effectively the wave B here within this ABC move is very standard, nothing to worry about. And again, that means that this, although has overextended the like for like, is actually holding up incredibly well, considering the amount of percentage points that many of its competitors have also taken hits on. And again, courtesy of Bitcoin's pullback and everything that's going on with the S&P 500, the Fed, etc., as I spoke about earlier. So ultimately, the stochastic RSI on our daily for AVAX here looking pretty good, oversold. And then of course, take a look at the 8 hourly, same concept again. We're starting to see a little bit of green here. We're oversold on our 8 hourly charts, and that's not a concern. Again, the 4 hourly oversold, looking pretty good from a stochastic RSI, a little bit of green there. So we are looking for a bounce. Now, this is where the true problem comes in, is that our hourly chart is not in consensus with all of the other charts. Okay, so obviously as we start to go down into the smaller time frames, we start to see more and more volatility. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now here with AVAX right now. And we can see that we are overbought. So we are looking for corrective action to continue here. Okay, and we want to stay above, preferably, that $50 range to prevent us from going and technically making it an impulsive move down. Okay, we don't want to see effectively 5 waves, 3 being down, 2 being up, because that just means that we're going to go down into lower lows, which is too bad, but ultimately we do want this correction to finish so that we can then actually get the reversal and continue the fantastic progress that Avalanche is making. So one to watch out for on the smaller time frames. We do expect volatility, but I also expect there are going to be some fantastic buying opportunities once we get confirmation that actually we found the bottom and we should be looking for that reversal. Okay, so I expect volatility somewhere between where we are right now at $60 down to the $50 range. I expect that this area here is going to be the area that we actually spend a reasonable amount of time in, just kind of bouncing around a little bit, not doing too much. And I think this is going to be pretty much in line with what Bitcoin does at this point here. But this seems to be a pretty reasonable area for AVAX. And I want to kind of keep an eye on this one to see how it goes on, because, I am invested in AVAX and I want to extend my position. I don't necessarily want to be paying over the odds per se. So as I obviously extend my positions with many projects, I want to make sure I get the best deal I possibly can, whilst still being able to lock in some coins. So this for me is going to be the area, monitoring that area of, basically going impulsive. If we go impulsive, then this effectively means that we are going to be potentially buying much, much lower if we want to. Obviously, in terms of true invalidation, we want to make sure that we don't go too low, but obviously, with a major pullback that we've already had here with AVAX, let me just bring us back up into our weekly chart here for a second. We pulled back quite significantly, and as a result of that, let me just grab hold of this. How low can we potentially go? Well, I think that there's going to be a low point, because most altcoins they tend to drop down 90 to 95%. So when we start thinking about a bear market scenario, what does that actually mean for AVAX? It could mean, that we are actually pulling all the way down to that $7 range. I don't think that's going to be the case, considering we've already kind of pulled back by 64%. Pulling back down a little bit deeper into those 80% ranges that we had seen previously puts us right down there at that kind of $27 to $30 range. So again, I want to be very mindful that if we do go impulsive, those are the kind of levels that we might be buying back into. So watch out, guys, because I do expect some volatility on the smaller time frames, but I also see fantastic opportunity. And it's in times when you see huge amounts of volatility like this and huge amounts of fear that you are able to extend your positions to such a point where you make significant gains in the next push and the next cycle to the upside. It's too soon to say that we're in a bear market. I haven't seen confirmation from Bitcoin that we're in a bear market, and we're also seeing some very encouraging signs that we are not in a bear market. And the reasons for these would be things such as the fact that Bitcoin's seeing, less and less Bitcoin on exchanges, during this pullback, which is unusual. You would see something different. You're seeing a large number of stable coins currently sat on exchanges waiting for buying opportunities. And of course, we haven't seen the decoupling between altcoins and of course Bitcoin, right? That Bitcoin and altcoins, they're still tethered together, which is why you're seeing the altcoins go down like this. Normally what would happen, historically speaking wise, and of course it could be different, but we have history and we can look at it, and it basically indicates to us when Bitcoin's had its peak and Bitcoin pulls back, alt season starts. And alt season basically means that you get a decoupling, and the alts do not follow the trend of Bitcoin, and we haven't seen that yet. So there's a few things that are really encouraging. We haven't invalidated any long-term propositions for Bitcoin. Bitcoin still looks going up into new all-time highs, and of course we're seeing really encouraging data from Glassnode, plus there hasn't been a decoupling with Bitcoin and the altcoins, and therefore these things kind of coupled together is quite encouraging to say this looks like a more of a corrective action. We're not seeing anything impulsive at the moment, and a reversal does look like it is likely to happen, but I don't think it's going to be quick. I do expect this to kind of carry out like we did in May, June, July, a couple of months, and then hopefully we'll be out of the woods and looking further forward. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and you will be kept up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.